Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a special creator interview episode of Hops Geek News. Of course, we are your podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows. Typically, we feature a beer of the week. Today, we have an old friend who has came on previously to talk Bob, the non-union psychic, with us. And now this is the tie-in film, COIFFEUR Extraordinaire, waiting for Legros. Our friend Lance Lucero is back. And first things first, Lauren, do you have a beer of the week? Because I sure as heck don't right now, because I just had dinner and I'm running around the house. I forgot to grab one.
I haven't had dinner, so I have water and a fig bar. So I'm prepared to have beer for the next thing we have to record tonight. So it's just H2O for now, but it isn't a beer Tervis.
Hey, it counts. It counts.
It's a skull.
It does. So Lance, welcome back to the show. How's life been going since we last talked to you? How'd the comic book come out? Like, fill us in, man.
It's been good. It's been busy, of course, especially with the new film. It was quite a task to get this film done. Last time we talked, I believe we were still in post-production doing special effects. And that's where we're at with it. We released it, I think, about 3 or 4 months ago, the actual tie-in to Bob Non-Union Psychic. So you buy the Bob book, you get a free screener to the film. I mean, you get a book, you get a free film. And you don't have to wait for it to come to a festival near you. You can watch it anywhere you want. And we had a good time with it, but it was a heck of a task to get this film made. And I liked the idea of tackling my own IP with my own characters and creating my own film spinoff, shot on film. I always got to reiterate, everything we do at W9 is shot on film. It's not video.
Which is very, very unique.
Yes.
Now we got the chance to read the comic, and I absolutely love the comic. And obviously, looking at the comic and looking at the film, they look very, very different. So, how did you feel with the final product, with the flow of the movie with the comic? Like, can you tell us, like, are we going to feel like we're in this same universe, or is it you're going to be watching it, and can you enjoy them separately and together, or do they flow well? Are you getting
story wise? They flow together because I don't take the main character of Bob and put him into this film. It's a subordinate character. It's a sub character that really existed in life. Legros de Romigny was a real hairdresser that really existed in the 1700s, and he did cut hair in the French court, and he did die mysteriously way back in the day. And in the comic book, we decided to expand upon that, make him a paranormal adventurer, and basically his school and the books he writes, they're like his network to figure out what's happening in the paranormal universe. So that's the tie-in to the book. We took a subordinate character and we created a whole different world, but it's still a tie-in to Bob because of the tools that are used, i.e. Bob's scissors, his weapons, and his trade a tool in life. So that's the link between Bob and the hairdresser from the 1700s, and that's how it interweaves. So the idea is do we do a film spinoff and take the actual Bob character, or do we take one of the many characters that are throughout the comic book that span 1,000 years and try to do something a little different? That's what I thought was the best way to tackle this. Plus, the challenge of trying to recreate 1700s France here in Colorado.
Yeah.
So with that, because we follow you on Instagram, and anybody who's not, I recommend doing so, because just seeing these pictures of you making these movies is very entertaining, and it's really cool to see. And if you go to your website, I know you see some of the green screen stuff going on as well. Even if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like Matt's about to do some green screen work at his house now. So if you ever need to,
auditioning for the next film.
Yeah, there you go. So what was the biggest challenge you ended up encountering while working on the film?
Well, I think the idea it did start in the pandemic. So keeping things separate, safe was a challenge, and shooting like one actor at a time was a challenge. Mm-hmm. And then making sure that at one point we can get all the performers in one spot to try to get a master shot so that it doesn't look goofy or awkward. Scale was always an issue because the backgrounds in the film, they're not digital backgrounds. They're actual film assets. So I filmed a miniature set, as you've probably seen on a lot of the stuff I post. and we integrated it into the film and making sure the scale was just right so that it didn't look goofy or off in any way. Green screen's always a challenge. Not my favorite. I don't think it's the best route to go for filmmaking. That's a challenge to light it correctly, to make it look good, to make sure that you can key out the green. I would have preferred to have a real set, but our hands were tied because where do you find a real castle and what have you? Creating the world was difficult. So we pulled out all the technical techniques that have been used the last 130 years, miniatures, animation, paper cutouts, live action sets, green screen. And of course, this film was shot with absolutely no sound. So all the sound design was done in post-production to really punch it up, to really give it a dynamic sound. So it's cinema, it's every ounce cinema, and every step of it was a challenge because it was shot over 3 years, and you have to match shots that were shot maybe a year in advance, and you had to be on your game. So having an animatic storyboard that we looked at all the time, having accurate camera logs, the right film stock, everything. It was the biggest challenge that I had ever done aside from a feature film. And I think it shows. I think every bit of it shows on every frame that you see when you watch this one reel or film.
Yeah, I remember when you were last on too. You showed us some of the paper that was used for like the ghost and special effects and things like that, and it looked really cool. So I'm really excited to see everything come together because, of course, it's one thing that we get to see how it all looks behind the scenes. You have this vision in your head, and then how it all comes together. When you pulled it all together and the final cut was made. What was that feeling for you like?
It's always a little bit shocking because it's like, well, is this going to work? And I think the moment the final cut was done, it was like, yeah, we got it. We got it. There was a few maybe technical issues that with a bigger budget, I could have did a little bit more. But I think it was already very ambitious. So we're very pleased with it. I mean, the acting, the costumes, the pacing, the puppets, everything came together fantastically. I mean, when I look at this and when I see people watch it, I hear what I want them to say is, wow, that reminds me of Jim Henson. That reminds me of Labyrinth, Monty Python, Terry Gilliam, Hammer films from the 50s. That was the whole idea, to say, let's try to do something that kind of looks retro, but it's modern, but yet it's a period piece, which is extremely difficult to do. And most people avoid. They don't want to do period pieces today. They take the easy route out. And I'm like, no, I think we need to do a little extra here so that we can stick in people's minds. And it was very, very pleasing to see it come together. I was like, wow, after so many years, I'm not used to having something take that long, but with the special effects work that went into it, it took a long time. So every aspect of it was very painstaking, and to see it actually come together was like, okay, great. And see people smile when they watch it. They scratch their heads going, what the hell was that? And I'm like, that's what we want.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing. Now, you guys also took it out on the film festival circuit recently, in which there were some awards that you have won. So how was that for you? How was the film festival circuit getting back out there? Kind of in this post-COVID life again.
It's interesting. We haven't got an actual screening yet, but we're gaining momentum. It's still only a few months young, and we're waiting on more festival dates. But it's good to see the reactions, where people are scratching their heads about it. They're like, we didn't expect this. And at times they don't even know how to categorize it. Mm-hmm. Is it horror? Is it comedy? Is it historical? What is this? And I'm like, that's up to you to decide. So we're getting a lot of awesome honorable mentions. We're getting a lot of special achievement awards. We're getting a lot of attention on the production value, but I still think people are really confused about it, which is odd. They're like, we don't expect this. And it's like, well, good. You're not supposed to expect it. It's not cliched. It's not something you're going to see normally. This is something that I hope grabs your attention in a very unique way. So it's interesting to see how it's playing out. We get a lot of recognition for it, but still people are confused by it. And it's really weird to experience that.
Well, it's also, I feel like we're in a world right now where everything is build this universe bigger, bigger, bigger. They like this universe. So let's focus on, I know I sound like a hypocrite with the posters behind me. Let's focus on Star Wars and Marvel. So when you have a unique idea, I feel like people are still kind of like, wait, what is this? I'm not familiar with this. I don't know it. So it's like they need to learn it to enjoy it. But I also love so much, though, that these are just two, not just different mediums. Like, it's not like you're taking the comic book and it looks like the movie. Like, it's two just completely different mediums that meld together. So I think that's really cool. And you actually answered my last question, because I was going to ask about the Jim Henson and the Monty Python. And I think that's a great description of how it is. I mean, you hear Monty Python and people instantly, I think their head goes straight to, it's but a flesh wound. So I would expect that kind of comedy.
Right. And that's what we were after initially. And also, people do that, especially with what I do in filmmaking and comic books. Everybody seems to want to go the commercialistic route of taking somebody else's IP and capitalizing on that. And I have expressed that seriously, that I don't want to do that, and I don't think it should be done, because I don't want anybody taking my proprietary property and doing what they please with it. So if I'm going to invest in something, why should I invest in somebody else's IP and try to capitalize on it? I have my own book. I have my own comic book. I did my own fan film. And that's the point I'm trying to make is, look, you're not going to get noticed if you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. Yeah. And you see the redundancy and the cliches out there over and over again. And I have to figure out a way to say, okay, that's not what it's all about anymore. I think the Renaissance is at hand. I really think people are getting tired of the same old. So here we are not doing that. And that's what we're trying to promote. But as you say, people are a little bit, they're weird about it. And we're trying to figure out why. It's like, hey, you got a cool comic book here that goes into a cool movie, and vice versa. And it's original. So give it a try. You may actually really like it.
I mean, sheer curiosity.
Well, I think we
make you want to check it out alone.
Sorry, Lauren, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was saying, I think you kind of alluded to this or hit it on the head, is I think we're on the cusp of, like, you're going to see a lot more of those original ideas. Like Martin Scorsese, for example, Killers of the Flower Moon is out. That's not really, it's a book and everything like that. So people are interested once they see that it has that book attachment to it. And then also, I think we're going back to this old school, like, wow, that's a really original idea. I haven't seen that in the movies every single weekend for the past 4 years yet. I want to check this out, because you know what, like you said, it might be something that you really latch onto for that originality portion of it. And that's what people, I think, are starting to turn their heads more towards right now.
I believe so. And it's time. I think people have been beat to death, and the powers that be, they control the market. But now it's more of an indie market now. It's just that we don't have the reach that certain corporations have. But it's up to us to create that reach. So, at Warehouse 9 Productions, that's what we're about. Everything is our IP. Everything is owned. We're an entity. We're a corporation. We do everything smooth and by the numbers, to be professional, to say, hey, we're not playing. This isn't a hobby. This is something for your entertainment pleasure. But you have to invest in it. Here's the book, digital or paperback, you buy it, you get a free movie, an original movie. So it's been a mind blower to see how people react to it, because sometimes people don't expect that. They're like, I get a free what? It's like, no, you just, you'll get a golden ticket. You'll get this and you get to watch it. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. And it usually plays out to the positive. It's very refreshing.
Yeah. That's very true. So now that you mentioned kind of like you're looking at where the film festivals are, where can people kind of expect to be finding you in the next 6 months or so?
Next week, we're going to be at the Wild Bunch Film Festival in Tucson, Arizona, with another film that we had done, The Last Resort, our Western. And we're going to be there also promoting the Bob book and the new film. The Bob book's going to be given away as a door prize, which gives a person an automatic ticket to the new film. And once again, talking about non-cliches and what have you, we're at a Western festival where the Western movies, be it modern or Old West, are the theme. People eat this stuff up, man. You can't go wrong with the Western. I mean, people love Westerns.
The cusp of coming back again too. Like, I think that's another genre that's really about to blow back up, I think.
Well, now there's a nostalgic element to it too, because we haven't seen it in a while.
Right. And we have been knocking it out of the ballpark with this film since 2019, and everybody just loves it. And it's Americana. It's the Old West. We shot it out in Colorado in the real Old West. It's on location. It's just like Coiffeur. We remanufactured 1700 France. But it's that period piece element that I think people are latching onto. Not having a computer or a cell phone in your movie, not letting the narrative be carried with a computer or a cell phone. This is where characters have to interact. They have to perform and not stare at an object, and people are finding it really challenging to do, and I find that very surprising when that's where it all started. So I think the Renaissance is happening, whether it's Westerns or 1700 France. I'm starting to see people doing feudal Japan or really fun stuff, period piece wise, and I think that's the route to go because people focus on story, dialogue, acting, and not green screens or lightsabers or, it's like, okay, we've seen all that. It's time to get back to the meat of storytelling.
Yeah, right on. And of course, always, because everybody has like that one track mind. Now that these films are wrapping up, yes, you're taking them out on the circuit, but what else do you have coming down the pipe? Do you already have some ideas you're looking towards playing with and getting really excited about?
Yes. Another challenge. I'm tackling World War II.
Ooh.
Say less. I'm in the bag.
Yeah, this one's gonna be tough, but the script's been complete, and it's actually the script is written by Adam Foley, my co-writer to Bob Non-Union Psychic, a genius writer. We wrote a screenplay about 20 years ago, and it got a lot of traction in Hollywood, but nobody wanted to touch it because of the subject matter. We were praised. We were killed with kindness, but nobody was brave enough to take on the task of this film. So what we decided to do is maybe try to do another one-reeler like I've been doing. I think the one-reelers are the route to go, 8 to 10 minutes. I think you can tell a complete story in 8 to 10 minutes. We've seen it over and over with Looney Tune cartoons, Little Rascal. I mean, the list goes on how you can capture a complete story. And we wanted to kind of do a prequel of this World War II screenplay. So it's complete. The shooting script is done. It's almost all casted. Laurel Mansfield is working on the costumes like she has done on every other film, and she's award-winning. This one is going to be a heck of a challenge, but if it's not a challenge, it ain't worth doing.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's 100% how I feel. And even the challenges, once they're completed, successfully, it has that really rewarding factor to it as well.
Yep. This one's going to be a biggie. And once again, it will be shot on film. I'm going to tackle different formats of film too. So I'll be doing like 16 millimeter, Super 8, double 8 millimeter. It'll be a drama, but I'm also going to be capturing kind of a documentary aspect of certain elements. It's going to be pretty heavy, but I think you got to diversify. Sure, comedy and fun and Westerns and paranormal are great. But if you don't diversify, I think you kind of push yourself into a corner.
Yeah, you can get stuck.
Very true.
Yeah, and I don't plan on getting stuck anytime soon. It's about pressing forward, but we're looking forward to going into production. This one's going to be a heck of a challenge, but I think this one's going to be mind blowing.
Absolutely. And we can't wait to, have you back on and chat about that. Especially, I'm a big time historian, I love history. World War II is one of my favorite things. So I definitely can't wait to go down that route, chat about that. Lauren, do you have any final thoughts, final questions?
As far as my last question is, as far as Bob the non-union psychic, will we see any more in that universe, or do you feel like you've told that story and everything that can be told with the movie and with the comic book?
Well, the grand scheme of things, it'd be great to bring Bob to the big screen, which was the initial idea. But I think that if we keep going the route of the one reeler, we can capitalize on many other different characters like we did Legros, and create other one reelers for it to tie into the comic book. So that's the feel we're having now. What character will be next? We're not sure. It could be pirates, it could be circus performers, it could be whatever's in Bob's history. And I think that's exciting. So it's been a big brainstorm of if we do another companion piece to the book, who would we pick? The characters are so rich, we're not exactly sure. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. It is on the horizon.
Gotcha. So you just need to find the good story.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, right
Very
on.
cool.
Well, as we wrap up, Lance, can you please let everybody know where they can find your work, where they can find everything about W9 Productions?
Yeah. You can go to warehouse9pro.com. That's where we hang our digital hat. That has all the information about what we're up to. That has updates, announcements, and then, of course, that spiders out into Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. I'm pretty easy to find.
And if you're following us, we do share your stuff in stories here and there. So if you see
also
it,
the link
grab it, follow it.
Episode too. So easy.
Yeah, wherever you're listening, even if you're on YouTube.
Yep, awesome, and back at you. I like what you're doing. I like what you're covering. It's a great platform. So keep it up.
Hey, thank you so much. We appreciate that. And yeah, we'll be here to talk to you soon. We can't wait to chat about your next project. In the meantime, everybody, please, seriously, we've read it. Bob the non-union psychic. This is a universe that it's fun. That's easiest way I can put it. Is it's fun. It is something different. And for me and Lauren, I know we both love something different.
And this is a hell of a prequel to the comic.
Exactly.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Anytime. Folks, check us out. Next week, we will be talking on our main episode, our favorite horror movie kills. So be sure to subscribe. As we get closer to
Halloween.
Yes. Ooh. The countdown is on. Be sure to subscribe, and we will see you then.